Hi, this is Terry Childs with the Rig Logics News Roundup for the week ending June 30th. In the U.S. Gulf of Mexico, market sources report that White Fleet Drilling jackup WFD 300 has been retired. The rig has been stacked in the U.S. Gulf of Mexico since late June of 2020. It was sold to recycler Mars and will be scrapped. The WFD 300 was the only remaining mat-supported cantilever jackup rated to work in up to 300 feet of water left in the world. The move comes in conjunction with White Fleet Drilling having just purchased the formerly retired Valaris 68 jackup with the intent of putting that rig back to work in the Gulf of Mexico. Off of eastern Canada and further to our report from June 9th, ultra-deepwater drillship Stena 4th has now departed Spain and is headed for Canadian waters. The rig is moving for a new one-well appraisal campaign for the drilling of the Hampton K41 well for ExxonMobil. Upon completion there, the rig is going to return to the Mediterranean for further work off of Egypt, Israel, and Cyprus with Chevron that should keep it busy until second quarter of next year. In the North Sea, Aker BP has been given consent for well intervention and living quarters work on the Valhall Flank Nord field in production license PL001B with jackup Maersk integrator. This work is expected to keep the rig busy until it commences a new 5-year contract with the operator next January. Off of West Africa, shelf drilling jackup Adriatic 1 has its contract extended by one further well with Conoil offshore Nigeria. The rig will now continue working for at least 6 more weeks and has been on hire with the operator since October 2019. In addition, jackup shelf drilling Resourceful will continue working for Conoil for longer than planned, now until around early to mid-August. That rig has been on hire with Conoil since April of this year. In the Middle East, Saudi Aramco has extended contracts for 3 Seadrill jackups, each for 3 years. Total combined contract value for all 3 jackups is $361 million. All 3 units have been with Saudi Aramco for at least 9 years. First, the AOD-1, which started with the operator in May 2013, will begin its new contract in late June and is now next available in June 2025. Meanwhile, the new contract for the AOD-3, which began working for Saudi Aramco in October 2013, begins its new 3-year hitch around the end of the year. And finally, the West Callisto, which has been with Saudi Aramco since November 2012, will commence its new term around December 1st of this year. In Southeast Asia, and following up on our report from May 30th, industry sources advise that coastal managed midwater semi Shinlan Tansu has still not left the Keppel shipyard in Singapore, supposedly supposed to go to Myanmar. It was due to depart during the middle of June, so a little bit late. The rig has an 8 firm well plus 5 option well drilling campaign for PTTEP Myanmar to be deployed in the Zatika field in the Phase 2 drilling program there. The firm period is for about 280 days, which should keep the rig busy through first quarter 2023. We'll provide an update once the rig is underway to location. Also in Southeast Asia, Borr Drilling has signed a binding letter of intent with an undisclosed third party for the sale of 3 high-specification jackups currently under construction at Keppel Fells. These rigs comprise the Tivar, the Huldra, and the Hedron. The sale is subject to customary closing conditions and procedures and is now expected to conclude in the next 30 days. The rigs are expected to be employed by the prospective new owner in a captive market and represent limited competition to Borr's fleet. Sources suggest ADNOC Drilling may be the buyer, but this is still yet to be confirmed. Total consideration for the deal is $320 million, which will be used to pay the delivery installments of the 3 rigs and also eliminates the associated activation costs that would have applied in the future. Upon conclusion of the sale, Borr's fleet will be comprised of 23 delivered rigs of which 20 are currently contracted, and 2 more jackups under construction at Keppel Fells Yard in Singapore. Staying in Southeast Asia and further to our reports from mid-March and mid-May, several sources are advising that Brunei Shell Petroleum is in the final stages of selection for a second jackup rig to work there. The unit to be selected, we understand, is currently operating in the Gulf of Thailand and will be available in Q4 of this year. As we previously reported, Brunei Shell has been considering a second jackup to begin work in April 2023. Contract duration will be for 4 years, similar to the contract Borr Drilling recently signed for its Saga jackup with Shell. We will certainly advise and report further details once the contract for the second rig is confirmed. Finally, Singapore SimCorp Marine says its Jurong shipyard has delivered the world's first 20K BOP 8th generation drill ship. Transocean took delivery of the Deepwater Atlas and will shortly begin mobilization of the rig to the U.S. Gulf of Mexico. The rig owner has a 590-day contract for the rig with Beacon Offshore for drilling at the operator's Shenandoah field in the Walker Ridge area. Work will begin in the Q4 of this year and will be split into 3 segments. The first 255 days will be drilling, but just in a 15K BOP mode. That'll be followed by 60 days to install the 20K BOP, and then that finally ending with the final 275 days of drilling in 20K mode. The Deepwater Atlas is the first of 2 ultra-deepwater drill ships based on the Jurong Espadon 3T design. The Deepwater Titan, the second one, is scheduled for delivery in early 2023. Will also go to work in the U.S. Gulf of Mexico under a 5-year contract for Chevron. The 2 rigs feature a 3 million pound hook load capacity and are rated to work up to 12,000 feet of water and have a rated drilling depth of 12,000 feet. That concludes the news in this roundup, so we'll be back in a couple of weeks with another edition. Thanks for listening.